Alright guys, welcome back to Hellmouth Hotline. We're getting into Buffy once more in this episode, and finally we're finishing off season 3, episode 22, Graduation Day part 2, and it essentially starts off where part 1 left it. Buffy and Faith have had their fight, and Buffy's made the massive decision to actually attempt to take Faith's life, and Faith in the last ditch attempt to stop Buffy from, healing Angel with Faith's blood, throws herself from the top of the building into the back of a truck that's passing by. So at the beginning of the episode you see Buffy standing there with the dagger and contemplating what she's just done and what it's probably going to mean for her in the long run now. Not just the fact that she feels that she's crossed the line that Faith crossed earlier on in the season, but she's also not going to be able to save Angel unless she does something incredibly drastic, which she does do when she heads back to the mansion and Angel's there. He's still in and out of the effects of this poison, and Oz and Willow are there, and Angel's sort of that far out of it that he mistakes Willow for Buffy, and when Buffy turns up she tells Willow and Oz to head off and let Buffy have a little bit of time on her own with him. And Willow at this point kind of feeling a little bit guilty about things because, she's just for the first time ever got her leg over, and it's been the happiest day of her life, whereas everything's falling apart for everybody else, and she's feeling guilty for that. But her and Oz are just having their moments together throughout this episode, and the thoughts that, could be the final day for all of them. So when they leave, Buffy essentially forces Angel to drink her blood. He tries to refuse, and she punches him repeatedly till he changes to vampire form, and then she exposes her neck to him. And at this point, she kind of knows how to bring the bloodlust on, and it happens. He does drink from her and is healed pretty much instantly, which leaves Buffy at near death. But Angel, quick thinking, takes her to the hospital and tells the doctors that this girl's lost a lot of blood, need to get her sorted out. And he heads off to the phone to ring the Scooby gang and let them know what's happened. And as he's at the payphone in the hospital, we pan across to the next room, and Faith is in there. She's been found by the mayor and his henchmen. We did see him at the beginning of the episode coming into Faith's apartment after Buffy left the roof of the building, and he's freaking out and screaming to go find her. So they do. They get her to the hospital. She's in a coma now. The injuries can be fairly easily fixed, but whether or not she's going to come out of the coma, it remains to be seen. And he is absolutely devastated at this point, and he overhears the nurse telling the doctor that they need to get blood into another girl that's just been brought in with massive blood loss. And he kind of puts two and two together and works it out, and goes to the next room, sees that it's Buffy in the bed, and he just walks over and calmly enough just she's unconscious in the bed, and he just puts his hand over her mouth and nose and attempts to smother her, and Angel bursts in. They have a confrontation, and the mayor leaves, says, right, this isn't over, but we're going to have a little intermission here, and we'll see what happens as we go on. Where are we at in the notes here? Buffy has a dream in which Faith is in there, and it's knowing where this show is going, it's kind of a weird dream sequence, because we have in the past in the show, we've had Buffy having these premonitions through dreams, and we get kind of that again here. And she's in Faith's apartment. Faith turns up there as well, and they have more or less a heart-to-heart in this dream. And Faith tells her that the mayor still has human weaknesses, and Buffy's really not sure what this means at this point. But she wakes up and goes to Faith in the next bed, who's in the coma, and kisses her in the forehead. So yes, she heads out to the Scooby Gang, gets changed to leave, and tells them she's pretty much ready for war. So we get into the biggest chunk of this episode is the preparations for what they're going to do. She organises a plan for stopping the mayor. Xander and Willow recruit several school students to join their plan, and they're trying to work out what his weakness is, the mayor's weakness. And Angel points out that he's always had a thing about germs, and there's a little bit of comedy in there with Cordelia saying, we could get a box and put like a plague name on it and kind of just chase him with it, and stupid stuff like that. And Oz isn't much better, and he says we could attack him with hummus. But they pretty much prime to skip ahead to the end of the episode. We don't see where they've got the plan set to spring it on the mayor, but we do see that they're carrying on bags and bags of compost into the high school, and explosives and whatnot. So they're getting weapons, they're getting students involved and whatnot to help get this sorted. You don't know to what extent, really, to near the end of the episode as far as the students go. But yes, we get to the graduation ceremony, and it begins. The mayor has prepared an army of vampires to be there to stop people from escaping. The only problem with that in the vampires' eyes is this ceremony is happening in the afternoon. The sun's going to be up. That's not a problem. There's going to be an eclipse during my ascension, so just be ready. As soon as it gets dark, pop out of the sewers. Don't let anybody escape the school. It's essential within the first few minutes to feed as much as I can to maintain the transformation. So at the graduation, all the students are there, and they're getting ready to start, and what's his face? The principal. I am actually blanking on his name right now. If I got it in my notes here. Let's just go with Quark for this episode, because that's who I know him as the best. Armin Shipperman. And just blanking on his name. Principal Snyder. There it is. We've got it. Snyder is getting everything on the go, and this is a time for celebration, so sit down and shut your mouth. That sort of stuff. Some good dry humour with him, even in this episode, and the vast majority of the episodes that he's in this series, it's like there's a lot of dry humour with him. Enjoy that a lot with his character, but unfortunately he doesn't make it to the end of this episode. As we said, as the mayor told him in the last episode, you're going to get paid exactly what you deserve for the work you've done. And he does, when the mayor ascends to this giant snake demon thing, essentially. Snyder gets eaten, so along with a couple of the students and whatnot, a couple of people get taken down by him when he changes to Olvacan, I want to say the name of the thing is. So he's transformed into this huge snake, The vampires are there to stop the students escaping, and the students, they're wearing their cloaks or whatever you call them, their graduation gear. They disrobe, robes, that's what they're wearing. They disrobe, pull that stuff off. They've got their own clothes below it, but they're all armed with weapons, flamethrowers, you name it. And a huge fight breaks out against this thing and the vampires. And Xander is the key man, as Buffy was saying, in the preparation for this fight. And for a change, like Xander's over the moon, finally I'm going to be useful for something. So he's coordinating the attack with the students. So, the flamethrowers, the front, fire. Then you've got people with crossbows and whatnot. Oz and a lot of the guys at the back have got bows and arrows with flaming heads on them. They're trying to take out vampires with them. And all hell breaks loose at the end of this episode. And yes, eventually the students break off, fight the vampires head on, along with Angel and another group of students and Wesley in the middle of it. So he's come back after, in the last episode, Buffy quit the Watchers Council, so she's independent now, so he's pretty much out of job. He's going to be heading back to England. That's what it's setting up at the end of this episode. But he comes back, tail between the legs, and he's like, I'm not here on behalf of the council, I'm here to fight alongside you. We also get an ending to the possible relationship between Wesley and Cordelia. They've got a moment earlier in the episode where they're awkwardly flirting with each other, and they do attempt to kiss each other, and Wesley screws it up completely, and Cordelia didn't get the kiss she was expecting, so she just, both of them at the same time, just changed their minds and just I wish you all the best in England. And he's like, thank you very much, I'll drop you a line sometime, and they go about their merry business. So he turns up in the fight at the end, shoulder to shoulder with Angel, something you weren't expecting to see at the beginning, and something that happens again further on down the line. We're skipping well ahead of ourselves at this point. Yes, so at this point, Buffy is alone facing the demon, the mayor, the transformed mayor, the ascendant mayor of Akan, and she taunts him about faith. She's worked out that it's not just his thing against germs, but he has human weaknesses, is what Faith warned her about in the dream. And the dream, or the weakness that he has, is his feelings for Faith. He looked at her like she was his daughter and someone he really, really cared about. So it's his humanity as part of his downfall at the end of this episode. Even though he's ascended, he's this crazy, massive demon now, no longer invincible as he was in human form. That's the thing, that they couldn't take him out until the ascension. He had worked the spells and whatnot, and eaten all these crazy creatures and made himself invincible. There's a part where a vampire just sliced him down the centre, and top of the head down to the waist, and he just closed back up again. But now, as this demon, he's they can take a shot at him. So she taunts him, and she pulls out the dagger that she stabbed Faith with, and she's like, you recognise this? I took this off Faith after I stuck it in her stomach. He's getting really angry at this point and runs after her. She runs away, and he sluthers after her, I should say. Now, watching this episode, it was starting to come back to me. I was fully thinking that it was the blood on the dagger that was probably going to kill him. But then that would be a physical thing, not a mental thing, or an emotional thing. So it's an emotional thing that kills him, essentially. It's this weakness. But I thought the blood on the dagger, the dried blood of Faith, would be the killing point for him. Not remembering where it was going. But she runs through the high school, and bearing in mind this is graduation day, they're all leaving high school, so they're going to take out everything in a major way. And she runs to the library, jumps up into the stacks, and all the stacks are emptied at this point. And I did actually, earlier in the episode, I was seeing whenever Wesley and Cordelia were having that weird, awkward moment, they were actually emptying books out of the library, and it didn't even fizz on me what was going on at this point. They're actually clearing the library out because they're going to destroy it at the end of the episode. So that's what's happening. The library's filled with explosives and compost, the stuff that he hates the most, germs and dirt and whatnot, and that's his downfall at the end of the episode. So Buffy escapes the library out a back window, and he slithers in, sees all this stuff, and he's like, at last moment's like, oh, well played, more or less. And outside the school, you see Giles with the plunger for the explosives. He hits it, and the library explodes. You see different parts of the school. The whole place goes up in this explosion. The school is absolutely devastated at the end of the episode. And at the end of the episode, we see the aftermath of what everything that's happening. We see Wesley getting taken away in a stretcher. He lasted a long time in the fight, shoulder to shoulder with Angel. He came running up and kind of got clotheslined at the very start, and that was him out for the count throughout the whole fight. Now, the fight itself, the way it was staged was brilliant. Some of the fight sequences choreographed were fantastic, particularly with Angel. I have to say, in this episode, he was like kicking ass in a major way, and it was well done. So at the end of the episode, Wesley's been taken off, and Giles comes up to Buffy, and I was rooting through the wreckage, and I found this, and I think you've really earned it, so you should have it, and it's her diploma. And he leaves her on her own thoughts to go check on Wesley, and off about 100 yards away, between all the fire trucks and ambulances and whatnot, she sees Angel standing there. And he did say to her earlier in the episode, look, if we get through this, I'm not saying goodbye, I'm just going to go. So she thought that he actually left, but he took a moment to come back and let her see that he was okay and make sure that she was okay. And he turns and he walks away into the smoke and the ash that are floating about, and he just kind of turns into a silhouette and eventually vanishes. And we get a little moment at the end of the episode with the rest of the Scooby Gang, you know, Willow and Xander, Oz and Cordelia and Buffy having a little moment outside the school and thinking, yes, we've survived this, we've survived the fight, we've survived high school. And Oz wants to take a moment to really take it in and feel the depth of surviving high school in particular. No sooner does he say, can we take a moment to, everybody turns and walks away. And we pan down to a yearbook from Sunnydale High, 99, with the title The Future Is Ours. This was a good series, I have to say. Now, coming into it from season 2, I did have my thinking back on it. I kind of slipped out of the original run after season 2. Season 2 was just such a strong season in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I felt that season 3 got off to a bit of a slower start. But then again, having said that, that point in my life back in 98, 99 was incredibly busy times for me. So there were many other factors for why I fell out of the series. But yeah, right now, at this point in the run, I am kind of having flashes of key sequences, key moments throughout the rest of the seasons, but there's nothing in my mind right now that I'm talking, you're probably talking 15, 16 years since I watched the series. the way I'm watching it now and really taking it on. So it's kind of there and it's kind of not there. Let me see. What else we got here as far as trivia and whatnot goes for it. Yes, I'm going to scroll down past that to on the internet here. There's a little article called Controversy. I'm just going to read from it here because, yeah, the time this came out, there was the content of a few of the episodes in this series. Not just this episode, but there's a couple episodes in it that I kind of talked about the school shootings. There was an episode where one of the students went up into the bell tower and he had a gun with him, which he intended to use on himself, but we all thought in the setup of the episode that he was going to use it on the kids. So that was a moment in history where the Columbine shooting happened, and I thought to myself, oh, this is sketchy stuff. But it actually goes into that here. It says, during the time of its airing, the episode caused a great deal of controversy in the media. The Columbine High School massacre, which just took place only 4 weeks before the airing of part 1 of Graduation Day, was widely blamed on violence and entertainment. The WB television network had already pulled the plug on an earlier episode, Earshot, that's one I was just talking about, which itself was not aired until September, and feared that several scenes in Graduation Day Part 2 would provoke high school students to do the same thing, especially those depicting the entire graduating class handling weapons against the mayor. On May 25th, 1999, only 2 hours before Graduation Day Part 2 was due to air, the WB suddenly decided to replace it with a rerun from earlier in the season. The episode Band Candy. The sudden move received huge attention in the media, and thousands of letters were sent to the network. That's how long ago this was, guys. Like, there was no emails early. The internet wasn't really a thing at that point, as far as, like, you know, oh, I'm offended, I'm going to pull my phone out of my pocket and tweet somebody. No, people actually put pen to paper for being pissed about this. Yeah, thousands of letters were sent to the network demanding that the season finale be shown. Sarah Michelle Gellar publicly spoke out against the decision. Seth Green agreed that the episode should have been broadcast in its original slot. The incident was also lampooned in a segment of Comedy Central's The Daily Show, in which then host Jon Stewart joked that the episode was delayed until the heat is off and the networks can get back to being irresponsible. Stewart was quipped. Stewart then quipped, in addition to postponing the finale, WB executives are considering changing the show's name to Buffy the Vampire Inconveniencer. That's pretty witty. The WD did not air the episode until July 13th, 1999, almost 2 months after it was originally scheduled. Since nearly all US schools end their term in May and June, it was then felt safe. The episode attracted 6.2 million viewers, which is typically high for the WB during the summer, and comparable to what other episodes of the season had received. As the episode was not delayed in Canada, many bootleg digital downloads were available. Whedon, the creator of the show, stated, bootleg the puppy. So he was all on for it. You know, he was just like, well, you want to see it? Bootleg it. So that was a great ending to a great season, and I didn't find the mayor quite as annoying this time. Probably because I'm getting up in age myself, but I remember watching this back in '99. I wasn't really that old at the time. Like, I left high school in 1995, so I was just getting out into the working world at that point. I went on to do a little bit, 2 or 3 years worth of further education after high school. So I was literally just getting out into the working world as well, and getting married. So I found the mayor extremely irritating in the original one I was here, but in this rewatch, I've really started to appreciate some of his jokes and the humour that he brought to the role. Very, very good episode, and setting it up for Angel starting. So that, I have to say, was a fantastic series. I really did enjoy the Angel spin-off, and I actually do have all 5 seasons in VHS. Again, that's how old these shows are at this point. I've got Angel's season on VHS, the entire collection. It takes up an entire shelf right here. Whereas now, if you bought it on DVD, it would take up about the same room as your average sized book. So, yes, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I hope you did indeed enjoy it. If you did, please let me know by emailing the show, hellmouthhotline@gmail.com. Follow the show, rate and review, all that sort of good stuff. And you can also go check out the website, coinsagemedia.com, to see some of the other stuff that I'm doing there. I'm starting to enjoy podcasting a lot, but I'm also getting back into hopefully shooting a crap load of YouTube videos as far as reviews and that goes as well. So there's other podcasts, there's other channels, there's short movies on the website as well. Just pretty much everything I've done to this point is on there, so go check it out. So until the next episode, guys, which will be Halloween part 2, and then next week we'll be doubling up on the Buffyverse reviews with season 4 starting on Monday, and season 1 of Angel starting on Wednesday, and then doing the movies and that at the weekends as normal. So guys, stay safe, and I will talk to you in the next episode. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much for listening.